Last year was the deadliest year on record for Mexico. Drug-related violence has infiltrated all parts of society and all parts of the country. It's affecting everyone, and it is absolutely everywhere. Acapulco was somewhere at the center of some of the worst violence in the country. Our story was the influence of the crime gangs, how their tentacles have spread out across the country, and Acapulco is a good example of it. And so we asked the police if we can go along on a police patrol. Well, the CIA's latest travel advisories for a number of areas in Mexico, but particularly here, is don't even bother going if you're a tourist. Reason for that, they say, is that the murder rate, the danger levels are so high, they're actually comparable to Iraq and Syria. And indeed, here, in 1 month last year, over 2,000 people were murdered in these drug wars.
On this patrol, we arrived at a village, a small town, and it was a bizarre experience.
We came across a crime scene where less than 24 hours previously, 8 people had been killed.
Okay, so this is so this is where somebody's been killed, right? So one person here. Oh, another one here.
There was still bullet holes everywhere, there was blood splatters on the floor.
Another here, another there.
There was all these little flowers and candles that had been left on the spots where people had died, only just recently.
The last of the crime scenes is here, and you can see the bullet holes from the shooting take place here. That's 8 in total. So this is a pretty big and organised hit. They actually went from person to person. I mean, these were actual shooting individuals. So not just this, but actually went. So they were hiding. Shock.
It was pretty shocking to see their families, their wives, their mums, their sisters really traumatised. It was very, very sad.
There was a lot of grief, and that people were upset by what they had seen, and they wanted justice.
Quiero justicia por mi hijo, porque era un niño todavía.
They said, this is not the first time, this is my second, this is my third kid, they killed all my family. It's just like this is a conflict zone. It's really bad. I feel really, really sad when we left. No?
It's a level of brutality and tragedy that is very, very difficult to get your head around when you come from a society like I live in.
Imagine if something like that happened in Surrey or in Hackney, or it's going to be in the newspapers all over the UK. And here is just something little. Next day, no one remembers.
We then decided to try and get to actually the people who make the stuff that fuels all of the problems. We were taken up into the mountains to a modest house with a big sort of front porch. And there we were introduced to a guy who is clearly in charge. He said Farmers Union. I mean, it's open to interpretation. We didn't just arrive. This has been worked on for a long period of time. Contacts have to be made. They don't know who you are. They might think that you're undercover American drug enforcement.
By just putting ourselves in a really stupid situation where they can kill us.
These guys don't see themselves as gangsters. They actually just see themselves as businessmen and farmers.
The guy in charge wouldn't admit to farming opium, but he did say he farmed what he farmed to survive.
Si es una familia grande, pues no te alcanza si siembras chiles y tomates. Tienes que buscarle de otra manera. One of the first tales he told us when we started talking to him was about how he had been arrested, but this wasn't an ordinary arrest. 3 Black Hawk helicopters had turned up. This doesn't happen for just anybody. Pido una orden, pero ellos me dicen que no está en orden, y me agarran y me tiran al suelo y me sacan a patadas.
They may look very normal, but they are involved in a very, very dangerous business. In many ways, they were a bit like the Mexican Sopranos, if you like.
He was very affable, but there was no forgetting that this is a serious character and that this was essentially an interview, but we were the ones being interviewed.
I've been having lunch with many of these farmers, and they are just really lovely and nice people. If they had to kill you, they kill you. But in other words, they are good friends to each other.
He made the phone call, and we were allowed to go up into the jungle, where we met by security, guys carrying machine guns, fully kitted out, with their faces with bandanas. And they took us to the poppy field.
After about half an hour of really rough terrain, we arrived into this opening. It looked like the middle of the forest had just been completely opened up so that they could grow the poppies.
So this is the poppy oil that becomes opium, and eventually that becomes
Heroína, morfina.
yeah. And all this field having this. The weather's perfect for it, and it just keeps producing. So it's a brilliant crop. Or why wouldn't it? The demand is so high, and as long as the demand is high, and we know the biggest user is the United States, then it's going to keep being made.
They know what happened. When you ask them, you know that with this they create heroin. Yes. And you know that that creates lots of problems. Yes. But for us, it's just another product. If they demand us avocado, we grow avocado.
It seems interesting that what happens here and then what happens, say, in Acapulco, they're linked, but nobody thinks about it, right?
No, this is what we have to do. We don't have no other option.
I remember one farmer tell me, yeah, I know that this is poison, but if I don't create this poison, my family is going to die. So it's a chicken and egg, no?
Speaking to them, it was pretty clear that they considered there was a real threat from rival gangs coming in to take their crop.
If we don't have a gun to protect us, they will kill us.
Nobody really knows how much money is made by the drug cartels, but it is billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars. And it's nationwide. It's absolutely every city, every town, every village, in varying levels of either involvement in the drugs or involvement in crime that is actually perpetuated by this whole society, where criminality is completely normal.
Sí se ha incrementado un poco la violencia y la verdad, pues, eso a mí pues, me conviene, sí.
We went to meet a guy who's a hitman.
Tengo varios clientes y tengo bastante trabajo.
He explained to us in detail the hits that he's carrying out.
Yo trabajo para empresas o gente empresaria o gente que no está en el medio de la delincuencia, por decirlo así.
You have business rivals now, not cartels, hiring this guy to take out rivals.
Gente que se escudan para en uno para poder hacer de sus fechorías y que ellos queden impunes.
If I need to fix something in my business and I think that my partner is stealing part of my money, I just call this guy.
The businessmen he's working for, and businesswomen, as he was keen to point out, will actually ask for really horrible things, hands cut off, heads cut off.
It's a completely different level, off-the-scale violence.
He, interestingly, saw absolutely no reason to feel any type of remorse. And although he's quite pleasant and he's pleasant to us, he's a very, very dangerous individual.
Violence throughout this society has become the norm. It really is a mess, and everybody we speak to doesn't see an end to it. In fact, they see it getting worse.
The problem is so big and so ingrained, is it actually possible to sort out? It's become part of society. The crime levels and the sheer amount of money that's available from crime is guaranteeing that Mexico's going to suffer for a very, very long time.